This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about friendly muggings, the rewatchability of Lost, and front page factual errors. All that and more as we watch season 6, episode 8 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello, cousin, and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cousin Imran. Joining me is my sister, Cousin Sophia. How's it going, Sophia?
Sister cousin. Yes. What's up, Imran? It's going well, but you know what? I have a problem.
Uh-oh.
I have been binge watching Lost.
Oh, wow.
A show from 20 years ago.
Yeah,
because you know we like old shows on this podcast.
This is kind of the first time you've watched Lost in its entirety?
No, I watched in its entirety, yeah. Like, okay. I think back when it aired, I watched, like, the first couple seasons, and then I think I was overseas or something. I don't remember where I was.
A rewatch in 2023 is wild of Lost.
And you know what? So I'm like 3 seasons in. There is a lot of chasing and beating each other up on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Every time they're in something, somebody's being chased, somebody's chasing, and somebody's beating up somebody else. There's a lot of punching, and it's like everyone who got stuck on that island just like really knows how to throw a punch and like
they all know how to fight somehow.
That came back to me while I was watching this episode of Perfect Strangers. I was like, oh, here's another show with a lot of hot pursuits and punching.
This show does not have those smoke monsters and polar bears for no reason and punching in numbers.
Right? Or dynamite.
Yes, or any of that weird stuff that doesn't amount to anything. I don't want to spoil what happens at the end.
Yeah, don't tell me. I got 3 more seasons.
Lost, and the end of it, I was like, really? Okay, none of that. You guys are just making this up. You were making this up as you go along.
All right, focus on this show,
I don't think Perfect Strangers is making this up as we go along. We are on season 6, episode 8. The Men Who Knew Too Much, Part 2.
Part 2.
Ooh, the thrilling conclusion of our seasonal two-parter.
Seasonal two-parter early in the season, hitting us with it early this season.
Next season they do it early too. It's very interesting. Of course, if you listen to the last episode, The Men Who Knew Too Much is a reference to an Alfred Hitchcock movie that he made twice.
The
Man Who Knew Too Much was his movie.
1934 and again in 1956.
2 times.
Both by Hitchcock.
Yeah. Too Much, 2 times.
He really liked that movie. He liked it so much he made it twice.
I'm going to do this again. Only better.
What if he only just kept doing that movie over
I want to
and
see
over
a filmmaker just
decade.
remake their movie.
Their own movie.
Every 10 years. Just that's their whole career.
Not a like sequel or prequel, just like the same movie.
Okay, hear me out. Here's my pitch.
So they did that with that Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper movie. Not the same filmmaker.
Yes.
What is that called?
The Shallows. In the
That's the song.
To make movie? A star, to be, what is it?
That movie. But yeah, they made that one like 3-4 times, but not the same director.
They did make that one a number of times, and it's A Star Is Born.
A Star Is Born.
And that is like not it's not like a reboot. It's like remake after remake after remake.
With different casts.
Here's the pitch. Tommy Wiseau redoes The Room.
Oh, yeah.
Every 5 years.
Well, they kind of like, they did like the documentary about The Room.
Oh, that movie is great.
Yeah.
Anyways, we are way off track.
Focus, Javeds. both Javeds.
What does it say in the TV guide of this episode?
Season 6, episode 8 of Perfect Strangers, the TV guide description read, Conclusion.
Oh.
A mobster pursues the cousins after a murder, and Larry is the prime suspect.
Dun, dun, dun. Of course.
Dun, dun, dun. You have to, I would have read that in dramatic sound effects.
Yes. Starring, of course, Bronson Pinchot as Balky Bartogamus. Mark Lynn Baker as Larry. Melanie Wilson as Jennifer. Rebecca Arthur's in this as Marianne. We have returning F.J. O'Neill as Mr. Wainwright, the publisher.
And some of these mobsters, of course, from
also
last
returning
episode.
Scott Marlowe, who plays Marco Madison. And, of course, the wonderful Stephen Gilborn playing Herb and Jesse Jones.
Sheila.
We never mentioned Jesse
Herb
Jones.
And Sheila?
Herb and Sheila are great. They're still around. And then a bunch of thugs and extra guest casts. We will talk about some of them.
Right. This episode aired on November 16, 1990.
All episodes of Perfect Strangers streaming for Freebie on Amazon.
5 times fast.
Freebie.
No.
Amazon Freebie?
Perfect Strangers streaming.
Perfect Strangers streaming. Streaming Perfect Strangers.
Streaming
That's a good tongue twister.
Perfect.
You can watch along, play along.
Let's get into it. Act 1. We open with a phrase that we used to hear on television.
You got to have this when you're doing a second part of a two-parter. Previously on.
You got to have Strangers.
Your previously on, and they recap the whole last episode. We don't need to do that part.
Yeah, so they do that.
Show you all the highlights.
Because it's been a week, remember? So people have to remember what happened.
But even if you forget where we left off, they kind of show it to you again, and it's where this episode starts. In the middle of a car chase.
That's
with
right.
Larry and Balky. Remember, their rearview window has been shot out. They were being chased the whole last episode, while Balky was telling us what happened. It was a long car chase.
And the car behind them's getting closer, and they're like, oh, no. And then Balky looks in front of them, and he sees a bigger oh, no. And he's like, cousin, don't worry about them. Worry about that. And he points to the front, and they both look forward, and this big, huge, like, semi-truck is backing into the street in front of them. And that's where we left off.
Yes.
They were, like, speeding toward this truck.
And they were screaming. And what happens is fantastic, because this is what I wanted to happen. This is what happens in 80s action movies.
Though, yeah.
It's funny, though, because first they see the truck and they both try to duck and they bump into each other. It's a little quick detail. They're like, oh, and then at the last minute, they duck down and the top of the roof of the car gets
like
completely
the car
sheared
keeps
off
speeding
as
under
the bed
of the truck.
No damage to the truck, of course.
Yeah.
The top of the roof cleaned right off. And I was like, oh, my God.
So they ride under the truck, but the top of the car gets torn off by the truck.
It's a great looking stunt. It goes off without a hitch. We come back to them. There's glass everywhere. But I was so happy to see this because I thought they would have cheaped out and had them like turn at the last second or stop.
It's a very cartoonish thing to happen to this car.
If you listen to the end of the last episode, you would have heard me say, I want the top of this car to get sheared off. I hope that's what happens. And I didn't know. I didn't watch ahead. And that's what happened. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Great stunt. Great looking stunt.
Great looking stunt. Came out looking great, actually. Yeah.
And then Balky has a great line as they continue driving going, I hope you know where we're going, cousin, because the street map was in the sun visor. Wah, wah. It's pretty funny.
How does he even know they stole this car from Herb and Sheila?
That's right. It's not even their car. They have so far in this two-parter, they've stolen a bike, a VCR, and a car. They've done Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Bicycle, and some light shoplifting.
Let's see what else they'll
see what they can add to their rap sheet there.
All right, so they continue. This chase continues, right? And then so we see Balky and Larry. They like pop back up,
because the guys, the
from
thugs
crouching
can't
down,
go through underneath the
and
truck.
it's like the top half of this car is missing. It's like a convertible, basically, but just with lots of glass pieces. And then they like pull around on this street, and they go up the street, and standing in the middle of this random street in LA is just Jennifer and Marianne. Like they're not near the hotel where they left them or anything. It's just a street
and Larry's
that they
like,
came
hey,
to.
Look, there's Jennifer and Marianne just standing in the street there. What a coincidence. This is amazing. How did this happen?
Yeah, like where they just happened to be in this street where they were being chased to, or in the direction of the chase. I don't know.
It's fantastic that they're there.
So they kind of like drive up to them and they're like, get in the car quick. And then instead of getting in the car, Jennifer just looks at it and she's like, why is the top of this car missing?
I mean, good question.
And Larry's like, just get in the car, then I'll explain. And so they run around, they get into the back seat, and then we kind of like cut forward a little bit. They're like a little calmer and they're driving somewhere else.
And now Larry catches everyone up with exposition.
Yeah, because Jennifer's like, what's going on? And Larry says, there's a simple explanation for all of this. Could happen to anybody. And we go into exposition. They say they were at the wedding. He didn't have an angle for the story. Then he saw Marco Madison, who's a big time gangster. And then they followed him and the thugs to the garage, and they saw him kill a guy, and he's like, and we videotaped it. And Balky's like, cousin, we?
Excuse me, cousin. That's pretty funny.
Because, yeah. And Larry doesn't even concede anything. No. He's such a jerk. He's like, anyway, the dead guy, the guy they killed was a drug agent, undercover
drug agent.
And then Jennifer, to further this exposition, says, so you're wanted for murder because Marco Madison killed this guy? And Larry says, no, we're wanted for murder because the guy died in my arms while I was holding the weapon. And in case we as audience forgot.
Yes, remind us some more what happened last
Larry tells Jennifer it was the weirdest thing. He looked up at me and said, Rosebud.
Oh, I remember that.
All right.
Rosebud.
That wasn't in the previously on.
And then Jennifer asks a really, really good question.
But Larry, if Balky videotaped the murder, why don't you just take the tape to the police?
Because, Jennifer, the episode would be over.
Yes.
And we have 24 minutes still to fill,
Yes.
or 20 minutes, or whatever's left. What Larry says is because we have no idea what's on the tape, because he has no
They
faith
haven't
in
been
Balky,
able to play it. Yeah.
they didn't get to see what's on the tape. But don't you think you just go, well, you can't go to the police, because if there's no murder on the tape, you're still wanted for that murder, and now
right.
you're
So you're
at the
turning
police
yourself
station.
in, basically. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. He's got to make sure they got to find a TV before Marco's men get to them.
Because they're being, they're chasing them.
And then as they're driving, Balky goes, cousin, there's a TV. And they place this place called Roy's Tattoo Parlor.
Uh-oh.
For some reason, there's an old school tube CRT TV in the window
Yeah.
showing tattoo designs.
Because the old timey tattoo parlors had
Yeah.
TVs.
Yes, of course they did. So Larry passes it and then backs up and stops in front of him, grabs the VCR, starts to go into the tattoo parlor when this big burly biker couple walks out of the tattoo parlor. And then he goes back to Jennifer and Marianne. He goes, wait here where it's safe, because he thinks those are bad people.
Right, but
Stereotyping.
they're also being pursued by mobsters. So
Yes,
that's
so
not safe.
It's not safe because they're just out there, and if the mobsters see them, they know
Right.
you're there.
So they just leave the girls in the car. Just remember that, and they outside of this tattoo parlor.
Yeah. They run in, and there's a little gag where Balky gets distracted real quick and goes over to the window and watches the TV, and Larry grabs him and drags him into the tattoo parlor, and then we transition into what I believe is a TV set shot.
Yeah.
Going from the live on location filming to now we are on the
inside
set
the tattoo parlor.
inside this tattoo parlor.
And this big sort of manly, burly woman, tough woman with sleeves rolled up and tattoos all over her arms.
Yeah.
She goes, welcome to Roy's tattoo parlor. And she goes, I'm Roy.
She goes up right next to Balky. Balky goes, I'm Balky.
And she asks if he wants a tattoo or did they just come in for the ambiance. And Larry's like, he wants a tattoo. And he pushes Balky toward Roy. And in the meantime, he says, can I use your TV? And she's like, sure. And
great. Now he's got a TV.
So Larry gets to work on the TV and the VCR. And Roy asks Balky what tattoo he wants. And
she grabs him and tosses him into this big biker dude. And he bounces off this biker dude. He goes, I don't. She asks him, which tattoo would you like? She throws him against this dude. And he bounces off him. And he goes, well, I don't know. What's a tattoo? He says. Okay.
He doesn't know. It's been 4 or 5 years in America. He doesn't know.
What's a tattoo? And the big burly guy steps towards Balky, and Roy goes, those are tattoos, pointing to the guy's arms.
This is a huge guy they've found.
It's a big guy. Now,
dude.
Here's the thing. He had a fake tattoo back in fourth season.
Yep.
In the episode That Old Gang of Mine. Remember when they were remember they're hanging on the hooks? That is hilarious.
And they're reaching for the chair.
Yeah. It's so funny.
So funny.
He got a loner, a fake tattoo. So he knows what tattoos are, but suddenly he's forgotten. Fine. Whatever.
Yep. It's season 6. We're gonna run into this. So then Balky's all into this biker's tattoos. He's showing tattoos. Larry. He pulls him toward Larry
by his hand. He pulls the big biker guy over. He's like, Cousin, look at this.
He's got a snake slithering through the eye sockets of a human skull. Oh, and there's Regis and Kathy Lee.
He also has a tattoo of
Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee, talk show hosts.
Larry looks at it, looks at the burly guy with a weird, great look.
What the?
Okay.
Why?
And Balky, he lets the biker guy go. And Balky's like, Cousin, which tattoo do you think I should get? And Larry goes, one that you're going to enjoy in prison for the rest of your life because we got nothing but static.
Oh, no.
The tape's not working. At which point, Roy walks up again and asks Balky, what tattoo you want? And she's holding a specific thing. It's like a little gun.
And Balky's like, what's that? And we find out it's a tattoo needle. And Balky gets nervous now. And she's like, what tattoo do you want? He's like, I don't know. What have you got? And she goes, I'll show you what I got. And she pushes him
manhandles
onto
him. Onto the table.
the tattoo table thing.
Face front. He flops
like
forward.
on his belly.
And he rolls back over and he's like, I don't know. Do you have the Muppet Babies? Balky's ass.
And she goes, ooh, that's our second most requested number, the Muppet Babies.
And she lifts him up and makes him sit on the thing. And then she goes, most people want a cobra on their face. And she throws him up there.
She's tossing him around.
She tosses him around. She pulls his jacket down. She makes him lay down on the table. And suddenly, she's about to give him a tattoo. Suddenly you hear Larry go, wait a minute. There's something on the tape. Oh, boy.
They got something. So Balky sits up to watch, and they cut to like the taped scene.
Yeah, on the TV.
And we see exactly the same scene we saw in the last episode.
Yeah, it's like the whole sequence from the episode.
All the thugs are with the guy in the garage, and there's an argument, and he pushes them and runs away. And Marco pulls out a knife and like flings it into the man's back. And it's there.
It's perfectly filmed. Actually, to Balky's credit, he filmed it like he was filming a TV show.
Yeah, very good.
It's perfectly captured. And Larry says, of course, you got it. We have proof. It's all there. We can prove that they're innocent. As Larry starts to unhook the VCR from the TV, and now Balky's on his stomach.
He's about to get tattooed.
And he goes, this is not going to hurt, is it? And she goes, oh, of course not. And she barely touches Balky with the needle, and he's like, He gets up. They both run out. They got to get to the police.
Yes.
Kind of funny. He got one little dot of a tattoo on his like arm there. So Roy, the lady playing Roy, her name is Amy Hill. She's so funny in this.
Yeah.
Just that little brief time. She's been on lots of TV.
Oh, boy.
Here's a list. Night Court, All American Girl, Seinfeld, Boston Common, Paulie, Strip Mall, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Frasier, 50 First Dates, That's So Raven, Hot Properties, Grey's Anatomy, Boston Legal, Ghost Whisperer. Also done voice work for animated shows like Spider-Man, Happily Ever After, Fairy Tales of Every Child, Lilo and Stitch, King of the Hill, and the Jackie Chan Adventures. Prolific. She's great. Amy Hill's great.
She's got a lot of work under her belt. Okay, so they go to the girls and they're like, we're free. Balky got the whole thing on tape. It's perfect. And then just as they're like about to head off to the police, we hear someone go, hold it.
Uh-oh.
And they look up and it's one of the thugs. And Larry tells the girls, call the police. And then he and Balky take off on foot.
Then the thug runs by, right? He stops. It's so weird. He runs past the car. He stops and he looks at Jennifer and Marianne for a moment and then continues after Larry and Balky, who have run off into an alley. And I thought he was going to like kidnap them. Also, you just left the girls in peril.
Yeah.
You were wanted by mobsters and they know that these girls are with you. What are you doing?
Exactly.
All they had to do was kidnap the girls and force you to give them the thing back.
Exactly. Why did they just leave
no
them there?
Consideration for hostages
at all.
Balky and Larry.
They're just so selfish thinking about their own lives. They're like, take the girls.
Anyways, we get the classic bit of the thug going through this alley and there's dumpsters and garbage everywhere. And he's looking in the dumpsters. He can't find them. He wanders off. They pan back to one of the dumpsters that has a box in it. Of course, the box slowly starts to rise and Larry and Balky are underneath
cardboard box.
Hidden very well, very quickly.
In the trash.
From the mobster. So they think they got away with it. He says, I don't think they saw us. And the box kind of falls back on Balky.
And they climb out of the dumpster. And they think they're safe for a moment. And they're just kind of walking with this tape. And Larry goes, something about this whole thing that smells rotten. And Balky goes, it's us. We were just sitting in garbage. Which is a funny thing. That's a literal interpretation, but of course what Larry means is that
we get a Larryism where he goes, no, I mean, and then he starts sniffing the air like he does. He's like
I can't even do it.
It's bad. You see his face, it's like, but what he meant was,
why would a respectable politician invite a gangster to his wedding?
Carla Wayne's wedding. That's good. And the politician, yes, from Chicago.
And he's like, he just needs to figure out that connection between Marco Madison and Commissioner Albrecht from Chicago, and then he'll have a front page story. Because even while being pursued by mobsters and being wanted for murder, Larry's still thinking about his byline and his career.
And then typical Appleton luck as Larry goes, Balky, I think things may be looking up. And as they turn the corner, you see a mugger step out from the shadows
no.
with a gun, and Balky goes, well, think again. And the mugger's like, give me all your money or I'll blow you away.
Blow you away.
Oh,
Who says that?
Well, I mean, it's I'll blow you away. Yeah, Appleton, typical Appleton luck, can't catch a break.
So Balky tries to like give the man what he wants to. He's like, it's okay. Here's all my money. The mugger looks at the money. He's like, that's it. He's like, and Balky's like, no, here's here's more. And he gives him more, some other, like from another pocket, some cash. And
he pulls it out of his sock, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, fair is fair. You did ask for all of my money.
And then he keeps pulling out different bundles of money from different parts of his clothing.
He's apologizing to the mugger for lying to him.
Yeah.
He offers the mugger
and he's
this
like, you
locket.
don't take this. This is a locket.
This is
it's
so
an heirloom
funny.
in my family. My mother gave me this, and she wept as she gave it to me.
It's so funny because he steps next to the mugger and gets all
yeah,
complained.
and then he's like, if you look inside, and Larry's like, Balky.
And the mugger's like, hey, you, what about you? Give me your money. And Larry pulls out some cash, gives it to him. He's like, great. Now give me the VCR. And Larry is now panicking. And he's like, no.
Take my watch, take my cufflinks.
He's like, give us your address. I'll send you a big check.
Yeah, we just need the VCR. And the guy's like, no, I'll take the VCR. And Larry's like, no, okay. And he's like, Balky, give him something. And Balky takes off his shoes. He's like, you want my shoes? I can offer you my shoes. And he's like, these are handmade of the finest goat bladder shoes. Look at the detail work on that. And he's like, what size shoe are you?
Puts the shoe down by his foot.
And the guy's like, the VCR. And Larry's like, no, take something else. Take anything. Take him.
Oh, my God. He offers a Balky to the mugger. And then Balky steps forward.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll go. I can't believe he offered him Balky, and Balky's about to go with it. And then the strangest thing happens.
This is so strange.
The mugger pushes Balky back and then hands Balky his gun.
Oh, my
gosh.
And
goes, hold this.
What?
And then reaches over,
to grab
yanks
the
VCR out of Larry's hands and goes, give me that. And then he takes the gun. Balky is holding the gun at this point.
I know. He could have just like shot
And then
him.
he just takes the gun back. He goes, give me that. And he says, thanks. And Balky's like, well, you're most welcome. Balky had the gun for a second and could have just turned the whole thing around. It's hilarious. He's sitting there.
That would never happen on
looking
Lost.
at the gun.
People are stealing people's guns all the time and turning them against each other.
Weapons are a prime thing to have on Lost if you're on that island. Anyways,
and so he takes the VCR, he runs away. Balky's like, you forgot your shoes.
He still wants to give him his shoes. He's like, nice doing business with you.
And the whole time I was thinking, they don't actually need the VCR. They just need the tape. They could have asked the mugger, like, just give us the tape.
The tape
but
was jammed in the VCR.
Right. That's what I forgot. The tape was jammed. They couldn't get it out. That's why they had to take the VCR in the first place.
Otherwise, we took the VCR, and Balky and Larry's like, he took the VCR, he took the evidence. We're going to jail.
And Balky's like, no, we're not. And Larry's like, we're not. And he's like, no, Marco's men will kill us first, silly. And Larry starts to cry again, and we fade to black.
End of Act 1, listener. Before we get to Act 2, I want you to know you can join this conversation. You can join this awesome Perfect Strangers community. We have a fun Facebook group. There is a link in the episode description. I post threads on every episode we're going to record ahead of time so you can watch it on Freebie. Leave your comments, observations, questions, and meet other fans of this show and Perfect Strangers. And it is the only place now, thanks to Nicole Stoner, where you will find a digital spreadsheet of all the Perfect Strangers writers and how many episodes, what season that they wrote, writer by writer. She took her handwritten list and made it a really pretty spreadsheet.
Thank you so much, cousin Nicole Stoner.
And it's great because quickly at a glance, you could see who did the most. You could see who did the later seasons, who did the earlier seasons.
Who did the weird ones.
The creator, Dale McRaven, only wrote like 2 episodes, I think, out of the whole thing. A lot
How
of
many women writers
there's a couple.
were.
You got Paula Roth on there. There's 1 or 2. But it's very interesting when you look at the quality of the show in the seasons and who the writers were.
Oh.
Good job, Nicole Stoner. Thank you. Only
super interesting.
The Perfect Strangers Dance of Joy Facebook group.
Come join us. Okay, Act 2, we start and Balky and Larry are like dejected, deflated.
Yeah, remember they're at the Santa Monica Pier.
They're
which
walking back to the Santa Monica Pier.
Yeah,
and Larry's saying, we were so close, just another few minutes and the police would have had the tape and our names would have been cleared. But no, we had to get mugged. We could have stayed in Chicago and gotten mugged.
It's a great line, of course.
It's very true. Have you ever been mugged? So, listeners, you know that we both live in Chicago, Imran and I, and we grew up here. Have you ever been mugged in Chicago?
Not in Chicago.
Oh, New York?
Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Wow, was that scary?
A little bit. No, I got to tell my mugging story now.
No, let's keep it.
If the listener wants to hear a mugging story, I'll tell them later. But I may have it late at night in Brooklyn during college years.
Yeah.
It was it was friendly and
friendly
very
mugging.
Polite mugging, and
Well, that's good.
nobody got hurt, and they went their ways. They even
Did you have much money?
I had a lot of cash.
Oh, you did.
But they even threw my wallet back. I was like, as they were leaving, I was like, "Hey, can I at least get my wallet back?"
Yeah,
and they're like,
nice.
"Sure."
Nice.
And they tossed it back to me. And I had just seen like 3 cop cars in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right before then, I could not find them. Right after then, when I needed one. Anyways,
well, that's good. That ended nicely.
It was 90s. It was Brooklyn.
Yeah, friendly mugging.
Stuff happens. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So back in the scene.
Have you ever been mugged? Please
I
say
have.
you haven't.
No, I'm knocking on all the woods right now.
And you will not. Stay safe. Yes.
Gotten mugged.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But living in New York for college, like the thing about New York is you're not a New Yorker until you've been mugged. Like it's kind of a rite of passage. It's a joke.
May I never be a New Yorker.
Once that happened, I was like, I'm in. Oh my God. I got a full experience of living in New York.
May I never be a New Yorker then. Now it's all
carjackings.
It's like
a lot of
scams and phishing.
Yeah, you don't even need to have people in person. They do it all digitally. You could get digitally mugged really easily.
Yeah, you get threatened and stuff like that. And carjackings. Okay, anyway, let's get back to this episode. So Larry's feeling like, oh no, like we messed up everything. Now what's going to happen? And Balky says, maybe the mugger will play the tape, see that we're innocent, and bring it to the police. Larry's like, right. And maybe pigs will fly. And Balky says, no, cousin, that don't usually happen unless the pig gets a good running start.
And he like pantomimes pig running and flying.
Oh my gosh.
And then you hear voices off screen, kind of a negotiation happening. They're at the Santa Monica Pier by the beach, right? On some stairs, and they look up, and what do they see? They see the mugger selling the VCR to who? Herb and Sheila, of course, are in negotiation of buying a stolen VCR. This is amazing.
Herb and Sheila show up 3 times.
I was wondering what Herb and Sheila would be up to. I love these two. They're great.
And the mugger's telling them this, and he's just showing them a random VCR with
out of the box,
free cables, no box, nothing. Just the VCR, and he says, this has an 18-day timer. You can get yourself like 32 tapes. And Larry's like, that's our VCR. And they run toward them. And at this point, the mugger has like passed the VCR over to Herb.
Done. He's out.
Herb is holding the VCR. Yeah, he's gone. The mugger's gone. And Herb's like feeling all proud that he got a good deal on a VCR. And Larry's like, excuse me, that's our VCR. We need it back. This after stealing a car and a bike from this couple.
Well, to your point, Herb goes, Sheila, it's the crazy men again. All right, you give us back our car and our bike and we'll talk about it. And Larry's like, yeah, well, we can't do that. But he tells him it's our VCR. It was stolen from us. And Herb's like, who cares? And Sheila's like, Herb, I told you this thing was stolen. We never should have bought it, but do you ever listen to me? No.
And Herb is so mean. He goes, put a sock in it, Sheila.
Put a sock in it, Sheila.
This is the worst vacation we ever had. Getting this machine for $50 is the only good thing that's happened since we left the Corn Belt. They're from the Midwest.
I feel Herb's argument. They've had a really bad vacation out west, and if you got a good deal on a VCR after all this, you can go home with something above, but put a sock in it, Sheila, is great.
It's like a
honeymooners or something. Yeah. They're like old
to the moon, Alice.
Yes, bang soup. What, are you going to punch her, Ralph? What's going on?
Yeah, that's what he was implying.
Oh my, I'm going to punch you to the moon.
To the moon.
Larry goes, okay, look, we don't need the machine. We just need the video cassette. And Sheila goes, that seems fair, Herb.
And Balky's like, oh, that's very kind. Where are you from? And he strikes up this chit-chat with Sheila.
It's chit-chatting.
And she goes, Danville, Illinois. And Balky goes, get out of the city. We're from Chicago.
Feels like, no.
And Balky's like, we should exchange addresses so that we can write. And Sheila's like, absolutely. She goes into her purse for like a pen or something.
And then this is great. You get both Herb and Larry saying simultaneously at the same time, Balky!
Sheila.
They both
He
yell
says
at him.
Sheila,
Yeah,
and Larry
he says
goes, Balky.
The snap out of it is so funny.
So funny.
And then now they're squaring off. Larry's like, you give us that video cassette, and he grabs the VCR, and Herb's like, oh, you're not
and
getting
they're
this
tussling
machine.
back and forth.
They both
They're
have
in this,
hands
like,
on it.
tug
They're
of war.
pulling it. And of course,
And
what happens?
then the VCR goes flying straight up above them, out of their hands, up. And
into the air. You see
into
it.
the air, up
hits-
in slow mo.
Yes.
You see it like tumbling in the air, and then it comes down and it hits the stairs, like the outside stairs, and it like shatters into a million pieces
They
as
play
it
the-
tumbles
and they-
down these stairs.
They play the music from 2001
Oh my
when
gosh,
the thing
that's
goes
so
flying
random,
in the air.
too.
It's so funny,
Dun,
though.
dun, 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 dun.
Like, why? As this thing is flying in the air, it's hilarious. What a choice. What a choice. Anyways, you see this thing break
And
up.
they're all
to
standing at the top of the
a
stairs
bunch
watching
of
this
pieces.
thing get
It is
shattered.
destroyed.
And then we cut back to them, and Herb looks to Larry and he goes, I'll sell it to you for $10.
Oh, Herb's trying. Herb's trying to make a buck here.
And Larry and Balky ignore him, and they run down these stairs, and they like go through all
There's
the like pieces of this shattered VCR, and they find the video cassette
Yes.
still in one piece.
Yeah, that thing survived. I thought
Yeah,
it would.
I thought
it's
it would
inside.
too, yeah.
It's inside.
And the plus side, it was a way for them to get the tape out of the jammed. It
Finally,
was
they
jammed
just have the
before.
tape, and Larry's like, Balky, now we go straight to the police, give him this tape, and tonight we're at Disneyland in time for the Main Street Electrical
Yeah.
Parade.
And then Balky says, cousin, now we are so happy we do the dance of joy.
Oh my God, I don't know if they have time for a dance of joy, but I'm
But
all
they
for them
do.
doing it. And they do
made
the
the
whole dance
time.
of joy. Except with
And
a slight little tweak.
Right at the end
at
when
the
they're
end.
like, so usually it's like, hey, 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 hey. And then the last hey, Larry jumps into Balky's arms.
Yep.
Right at the last hey, he's about to do that. And we hear someone go freeze.
Oh, the thugs. Two thugs come
and
running.
there's thugs running toward them. And instead of the last hey, they're like, hey, frightened. And then they run up. Back up the stairs.
I love it. They squeezed in a dance of joy in like the weirdest place.
95% of a dance of joy.
Most
98%.
of it.
And they run back up the stairs. So then they have to run through this pier, right, with all these vendors, and there just happens to be a video
Beanie's video
rental
kiosk
vendor kiosk
display.
on the pier.
We're talking about VHS tapes of movies.
Yeah,
rental.
like-
It's kind of a weird
like
place.
a blockbuster, like
Yeah.
an independent
It's
shop.
Beanie's video with lovely like pastel colors and
But of course, it serves the story because it's
Yeah.
outdoor and it's a kiosk, and there's these shelves all set up outside
Guess what?
on the
With
pier
videotapes.
many, many
Oh, I
videotapes.
wonder
So
if
they
this will come in handy.
they run straight into one of these displays, and it knocks over. So there's like a pile of
Well,
videotapes on the ground.
Balky runs into the guy setting up the display,
Yeah.
knocks over the display, and
Yeah.
here's the weird part. If you watch carefully, as he goes down to help the guy back up, you can clearly see Balky put the tape down and pick up a separate tape.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is they meant
I think
to keep
it
this
was
in.
because the dialogue that comes later indicates that I think they meant to show
So,
that.
but I noticed it right away. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
he put that tape down. He grabbed another tape. He helped the guy up and
so
starts.
he swapped the tapes, like either accidentally or intentionally. We'll
Yeah.
find out. So he grabs another tape, and then he starts running again, helps the guy up, and then he runs off with
Larry
Larry.
comes back and grabs him like, what are you doing? Let's go.
And they run
Yeah.
down the pier, and then a thug cuts them off from in front of them.
he's inside a phone booth as they're running towards
Yeah.
the phone booth, and then as they back up, the two guys chasing him catch him.
Yeah,
And now they're captured. Now they're captured.
which also happens on Lost a lot.
Oh, people get captured all the time.
All
on
the
that
time,
show, don't
getting
they?
captured.
Oh, captured again.
And getting beat up. They
Yeah.
all really know how to take a punch too. Anyway,
That island does things.
but Larry and Balky, this is a much lighter show.
well,
they
is it?
get-
I mean, we got a
Well,
murder and
kind
stuff.
of.
Yeah.
They get taken to some kind of abandoned warehouse.
Yeah, there's an exterior shot of this like warehousey place, and they get brought into this office.
It's like a set that it's like what your imagination would think of. It's like the classic TV version of like a mobster's, office in a warehouse.
Yeah, there's like leather chairs,
yeah,
wood paneling.
It's like classic, yeah.
I believe the door.
Stereotypical.
It's funny. The door it says Marco Madison on it. I don't know why you'd put your name on there if you're trying to be a mobster and hide out. It's kind of strange.
That's true. They had to show that it was his office.
So the thugs lead him in and put him on the couch. And the one thug is like, Mr. Madison will be here in a moment. And Balky's like, oh, that's okay. I'm sure Mr. Madison is quite busy, man. After all, we can't be the only people he's trying to kill. And then he does this nervous laugh. He's like,
He goes, I'm so scared.
He's doing a nervous, scared thing where he makes jokes and has to giggle.
And so the men leave them in there on the couch, and they leave. And Larry's looking around. He's like, there's got to be a way out of here. They start looking around, and Balky tries to push open a window. And he's like, if we can get out here, we can jump out the window. And Larry goes to the window. He's like, Balky, we're 25 feet off the ground. Is that high?
That's high.
That's high.
That's
okay.
high. I mean, you could hurt yourself.
Yeah.
It's like 2 stories, 2.5 stories.
And Balky's like, no, we can jump onto that truck. And then the camera cuts down. There's like a truck backing up in the parking lot. He's like, see right there, the one that says Rosebud Trucking Company.
Rosebud, Larry says. So did I. I was like, Rosebud, that's what the guy said.
And we see a truck, and it says Rosebud Trucking Company, and it has a sled on it.
There's a drawing of a sled with a rose on it, which is, of course, the
another
Citizen
nod
Kane,
to Citizen Kane
reference.
Yes.
And Larry is now putting the pieces together. He tells Balky just before the federal drug agent died, he said Rosebud. He must have been talking about Rosebud Trucking Company. And that must mean Marco is using Rosebud Trucking Company to transfer drugs illegally.
Oh, one sentence. He figured it all out.
He figured it all out.
Much faster than people on Lost.
And then you hear a voice go, very good. Uh-oh, it's Marco. He heard them. He's been standing there.
Very good. You put everything together. And he's like, now, as soon as you give me the videotape, you two will be pushing up daisies, which, of course, is a thug metaphor.
Meaning you're going to get killed and buried in the dirt where the daisies are. But Balky doesn't know this metaphor.
He goes, I love daisies, especially the little white ones or the little pink ones. For some reason, I'm not that fond of the yellow ones. And Marco just kind of rolls his eyes. He goes, I mean, you'll be sleeping with the fishes, which is another
thing famously used. I think it's from Godfather.
Metaphor.
Means you get killed and dumped in the lake or in the river, right?
Yep. And Balky says, I love fishes, but I've never slept with one. And then Larry cuts in, interfere, and he goes, Balky, he means he's going to kill us. And Balky goes, and I'm supposed to figure that out from fishes and daisies?
Fish and daisies? It's a good point. You can't connect those nuts.
Yeah.
So Marco explains they can link him to the drug shipments, and they saw the murder, which means he's got to kill him. It's nothing personal. It's business. You know, and he while he's doing this, he walks over to his desk and picks up a walnut and a nutcracker and cracks the walnut. Such a lobster,
like a menacing, threatening thing.
He's like, nothing personal.
A walnut. Yeah.
And Larry goes, I'm very good at keeping secrets. He tells them that he heard a good one in the 6th grade about Mr. Potter, the shop teacher, and to this day he hasn't told anyone.
And then Balky goes, cousin, is that the same Mr. Potter that was also Mrs. Olson, the substitute home ec teacher?
Okay, he's not good at keeping secrets, apparently.
He told. And then
suddenly, dun dun dun,
enter the actress
Marcy
Eden, who played Darla Wayne, whose wedding it was in the last episode.
She walks in this green number with this hat out of nowhere,
and she's like kind of looking like a boss lady and angry. She's not. And then she walks and she busts into this office. She goes, "What's going on here?" And then Balky gets excited. He's like, "Darla, cousin, this is one special woman taking time off from our honeymoon to come and save us." But he's like, "But Darla, this is dangerous. Save yourself." And Darla just looks at him and goes, "Are you finished?"
Yeah, she's not a nice person.
And Balky's like, "Yeah, but I was wondering why I never got the autograph picture that I sent for her. I guess you've been busy with the wedding and all, blah, 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 blah." And she just looks at Marco and goes, "Kill him first."
Oh my God. She's
so annoyed by Balky. And then Balky is still not catching on to what's going on. He's like, "No, Darla, you don't want to kill us. It's your housekeeper's illegitimate son-in-law who's been putting the poison in your diet shake."
Then he pats her on the belly.
Yeah.
Like she's pregnant or something.
Weird.
I don't understand what that was.
Larry has to explain it to him. Larry says, "Balky, you don't get it," because Larry has now put everything together. She and her crooked commissioner husband are obviously in on this. It's the last piece of the puzzle.
Oh, Darla and Commissioner Albrecht are all in cahoots with the Rosebud.
But why would they? Because it was an undercover
drug agent.
They didn't know he was a drug agent?
No, I think he busted them and they had to get rid of him. And Marcy Eden just says, get the tape and then get rid of them and leaves. And Marco approaches Belky and goes, give me the tape. Belky goes, why should I? And Marco goes, because if you don't, I'll fix it so your knees bend both ways.
Oh, no. And
Belky's like,
gives him
okay, happy viewing. As he pulls it out of his pants, hands him the video cassette. Yeah.
And so one of the thugs takes it and puts it in a VCR. It's like one of those TV VCR in one
It's
unit.
a combo. These were very special.
They were great for dorm rooms.
Yes, all the dorms had them. It was a built-in VCR to a tube TV, one piece. You didn't have to worry about moving two pieces, connecting it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when those came out,
one remote. Yeah.
I was like, this is the future. Amazing. And now these things are all in landfills.
I think I had one in my dorm.
Yeah, I might have had one too. Those are great.
Yeah.
That combo was great.
And they press play, and what do we see? Not the video of the garage at the wedding, but we see a Roadrunner cartoon, and we see Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. And Marco just looks at Larry and Belky and goes, that displeases me.
And Belky's like, oh, well, it gets better. He's like, you see just in a little bit, the Roadrunner gets away, and the Coyote bashes into a brick wall. Look.
And so even Larry's confused and he says, Belky, what did you do with the tape? And Marco's like, yeah, what did you do with the tape? And Belky says, well, that's for you to know and me to find out, bucko, which of course he got it backwards. The saying is that's for me to know and you to find out. But he says, I may be a simple meepy-odd boy, but I'm smart enough to have switched the tape.
So that was an intentional switch that you can see him doing. Yeah. It's so great. It's so great.
And then Marco goes, get the needle nose pliers and some barbed wire. And Belky gets really nervous and loud. And he goes, oh, are we going to make a goat pen?
A goat pen.
And Larry says, no, he's going to hurt us. And Belky goes, oh, ha, I was really hoping we were going to make a goat pen. And then he does that nervous loud laugh. And he goes, I'm so scared.
And then Larry's like, leave him to me. I'll get him talking. He starts pinching Belky. He goes, where did you put the tape? Belky goes, ow. And then Belky pinches him in the tape. Where did you get the tape? Belky goes, ow. And then Belky reaches over and pinches Larry in return. And Larry goes, ow. And then Belky suddenly gets an idea. He's striked up a bargain. He turns to Marco. He goes, we'll take you to the tape if you promise not to kill us. Which I don't know why you're going to believe Marco, because Marco says, okay. He goes, that sounds fair to me, but if you mess around with me, I'm going to rip your heart out right through your ear. And then simultaneously, Belky covers his heart and Larry covers his ear, which is really funny. So Belky's made a deal, and they start to lead them out the room, and Larry whispers to Belky, as soon as we give him the tape, they're going to kill us. And this time, Belky goes, cousin, don't worry. I have a plan. As they leave the room,
has a plan.
Belky has a plan because he knows he's not going to keep his word. Marco's not going to keep his word.
We cut to the next scene. We see a limousine pulling up at the Santa Monica Pier.
Back at the pier.
And the thugs pull Belky and Larry out of this limousine. And Marco's there and everything. And they're like, they're like strong-arming them.
The funny detail is Belky comes out. He has the phone in his hand. He was using the phone.
On a cord.
Yes, because it was a big deal that limousines had phone, corded phone. And the thug yanks it from him. Who was he talking to? Was he ordering pizza?
Yeah,
What's going on? So they're back. They got to go back to Beanie's videos. And as they're walking them over,
Larry says, what's the plan?
And Belky goes, cousin, remember I told you about King Ferdinand's favorite party game? And Larry thinks and he goes, got it. So this is a planned thing. I don't know.
They're on the same. They're reading each other well.
This is another very 80s trope that's coming up too. 80s action movie trope. We'll explain.
The thugs kind of shove them toward the video store kiosk thing.
Beanie's video. The same guy is there and he's like, whoa. I just put everything back up. He's like, please don't mess with anything.
And Marco's like, get the tape. And then Belky grabs one tape from the display and he's like, anyone for a musical? And then the thug grabs it and tosses it. And Belky's like, but it's Doris Day. And then they push him back to the display. And then Belky grabs another videotape, which is their videotape they're trying to find.
Yeah.
Which is funny that it just happens to be he doesn't even know where it got put away.
Wait, how did he know where it was? How come it's still
mess. There? It could have been rented.
It could have been rented by now.
Yeah.
It was just sitting there, not in a sleeve.
Maybe
how did he know it was still there?
Maybe he recognized the label or something.
He figured the guy would just put it back there. He could have put it anywhere. He could have been like, what's this tape? And put it away.
Easy. because it's a sitcom.
What a coincidence.
So he grabs their tape and he says, okay, just one moment. And he looks at Larry. He goes, cousin, here we go. Compliments of Ferdinand the Obese. That's the king, right?
Yeah.
And they turn around to face two thugs behind him. So it's Balky and Larry face to face with two of the thugs. And they both go, what's that? And they point to the men's like chest, the ties. And the men both look down and they like boink their noses.
They boop them on the nose, as you do, but then...
And then, synchronized, they boop them on the nose, and then they swing back and punch each thug in the face.
Knocking them over the display again. This is crazy stuff. Balky and Larry just took a swing at mobsters.
They disorient them with the nose boop, and then they punch them.
And then run past them and run away. And Marco's like, get them, get the tape.
Which is the moment that reminded me of Lost. I was like, oh, they're punching people too. There's a lot of punching in the face.
So they get away and Marco sends the thugs after him. Now, this is King Ferdinand's favorite party game. It is reminiscent of something that Bing Crosby and Bob Hope used to do in their road movies where they were always in the same movies. But in their version, and they've done this in the 80s in some action movies that have duos, they would play patty cake to distract thugs and then turn and punch the guy at the end, right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
So that's a thing I've seen in a couple of things. So it's a great homage.
So they just kind of spoofed it and they made it goofy because King Ferdinand is a goofy character. And they said like his favorite party game is like the what's that on your shirt, boink your nose.
Yeah, instead of patty
kind of thing.
Yeah. Now the cousins need to steal some more vehicles as they run past this ice cream cart. You know those ice cream carts it's a bicycle three-wheeler and there's an ice cream but
and there's like a little freezer attached to it.
Yeah, they just jump on this thing as the guy's talking to customers and take off with it. And the
guy's like, hey, it's my ice cream cart. And
then you get this great shot of Balky pedaling the ice cream cart, and Larry is sitting on top of the ice cream cart in front of him.
And Balky can't see anything because Larry's there, and Larry's going like, watch it. And there's like people, they're dodging people, but Balky can't see where he's driving.
And then here's a great bit, because they show you the shot of ahead of him is a juggler, and there's a long crowd, a long line of people watching this juggler. They're heading straight for the juggler. So they show you the shot of Balky and Larry riding on one side of the crowd while the thugs are chasing them. It's a tracking shot behind the crowd. When we get to the end of the crowd, we see the bike still going and there's no Balky and Larry. They pulled a fast one.
They pulled a fast one. The bike still went on its own, though.
It's still booking somehow. It disappeared. That was a great little disappearance.
And then we cut to see they're running back in the other direction. Then we cut to like this merry-go-round and we see Balky and Larry like jump the fence on the perimeter of the merry-go-round, and like Balky like jumps onto the moving merry-go-round, and Larry starts running alongside it. He's just running in circles
before he jumps on.
Yeah.
The thugs enter, they jump on. Balky and Larry are going around the merry-go-round. This little girl drops her teddy bear. He gives it back to her, and then they've walked around to see the back of one of the thugs. At which point they have to duck, and they crawl back. And they're crawling back, and Balky bumps into this pair of legs.
The back of the legs of another thug.
And he looks up, and it's the thug, and slowly...
The Asian thug.
It's the Asian thug. Shout out to the Asian thug. Slowly, you see Balky start to untie the dude's shoelaces without...
To tie them together.
Yeah, without distracting him.
But this thug, like, stayed planted and didn't notice anything at his feet.
Because even right
for long enough.
He's talking to the other thug. The other thug's like, you see him? And this guy's like, they got to be here somewhere. I seen him.
He didn't move his feet at all. And doesn't notice that someone's down there.
He's a feet planted kind of guy. Yeah. You know how some people should walk around?
Some people are very solid.
Some people, you got to plant your feet. That's where I'm standing. He's a feet planted kind of guy. So when he talks, he doesn't move, which is great for Balky and Larry as they run off the merry-go-round. And the thug's like, there they are. Get them. And you see the Asian guy turn around and take an awesome tumble.
Face plant
right off the merry-go-round.
Because his shoes were tied together.
Yes, great little gag, great stunt. And Balky and Larry run down to the right, and then you see the thugs come out and follow them. So this merry-go-round scene, also similar. You know, we talked about how the title of this episode is based on a Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
It's similar to another Hitchcock.
Films.
Oh yeah, 2 films, same movie. Done twice, but there's another classic Hitchcock film called Strangers on a Train, where there's a fight that takes place on a merry-go-round that's out of control. So that merry-go-round is actually very famous, I guess, on Santa Monica Pier merry-go-round.
So this was another little nod to Hitchcock. So that's the theme of this two-parter.
So they're running and they get to the end of the pier and the thugs are chasing them and there's this barrier and this one thug pops up behind the barrier and has a gun on him and they stop and they turn back and they see the other two thugs and Marco have got them and they sink down against this barrier grasping the tape and Marco's like, give me the tape, and Larry thinks it's done as they pull guns on him and Larry's like, so long, Balky. It's been fun.
Oh, he's just accepting that they're about to die.
They're about to get shot. When
there are lots of sirens in the distance.
Oh, yeah. You see police cars pull up from behind them from both sides. Lots of cops come swarming out as the thugs try to run. Marco tries to run.
Police are like, hold it right there. And they chase after the thugs, at which point I was like, why aren't they looking for Balky and Larry? Because they're the ones wanted for the murder, too. But they run right past Balky and Larry to get to the thugs, and they surround them and whatever, start arresting them. And we get the answer. Why aren't the police interested in Balky and Larry? Because right after the police come running in Marianne and Jennifer.
Oh, they must have told the cops.
They must have talked to them, and the cops must have believed them because they're two pretty ladies. And they come and they're like, they hug the boys and they're like, are you okay? This and that. And so we don't really see what happens, but it gets resolved, I guess. It's implied that everything worked out for them. And
they'll explain it very shortly.
Because we cut and to the next scene, we're back in Chicago at the Chronicle office. And this is funny.
So, yeah.
Publisher Mr. Wainwright is there. He's their boss, of course. He's holding a copy of the newspaper on the front page, and has a large photo of that actress who was in the wedding.
Marcy Eden, and the headline is Record LA Drug Bust, okay? Chicago Chronicle. But if you look carefully, there's a little sub-headline next to the picture of Marcy Eden that says, Darla Wayne, soap opera star linked to drug operation. Wait a minute.
Darla Wayne is the character's name on El Segundo.
Why do they keep calling her Darla Wayne? That's not her.
Why did they do, how did that mistake, because we had that in the last episode too, where the wedding guests were calling her Darla. Congratulations, Darla.
I think it's on
was
purpose.
Was it done on purpose?
I think it's a running
as
gag.
A joke. Okay,
to post it at the Chicago,
and it's on the front page.
Yes, well, it'll get crazier. So continue.
So they have a really huge factual error
right on the front page. Darla Wayne. So why does it say Darla Wayne? It's hilarious.
And so here we find out through exposition, because Larry, of course, has to explain to his boss everything that happened. And he said, we were really lucky. When Jennifer and Marianne went to the police, they found out the police already had Marco under surveillance. So all they had to do was close in and arrest him.
Oh.
We were minutes away from certain death.
And Balky goes, but the exciting part is that after we bought maps to the stars' homes, and I got to shake hands with Pat Sajak Gardner. He's really excited.
And Wainwright just lets that go. And he goes, well, what excites me is that the story went national.
Whoa.
And we beat every paper in the country, including the Washington Post.
That's amazing, but I guarantee the Washington Post wouldn't have put Darla Wayne's name on the thing. It would have said Marcy Eden.
Yeah.
So
now they've fired all their editors and stuff. Things get through.
But the Chronicle scooped everyone. What a huge story.
But with a huge factual error.
But Darla Wayne
cover.
is not her name. What is happening here?
Come on, Larry.
Wainwright shakes Larry's hand and then offers his hand to Balky, which, of course, Balky ignores, goes in for the hug.
The hug.
Of course. And Wainwright goes to Larry, when I made you an investigative reporter, everyone on the paper said I was an idiot. But you proved them wrong, he says. And Larry goes, well, thank you, sir. I'm glad I got proof you're not an idiot. And then they share this glance like, wait a minute. What did I just say? And then he just leaves. Wainwright leaves.
Wainwright leaves. Balky says, boy, cousin, that was one scary weekend. I hope we never have to go through anything like that again.
You hear like the wrap-up kind of music playing.
Yeah.
Not lesson time music.
Lesson time.
It's like the wrap-up decompressing time music.
And here comes cocky Larry, overconfident. He's like, well, Balky, as an investigative reporter, I'm going to have to get used to living on the edge. He's like, I have to confess, I kind of enjoyed mixing it up with men who were trying to kill us. They thought they had us on the run. Ha! They were lucky those police closed in when they did. Yeah, they're going to have to learn if they're going to mess with Larry, lock him up Appleton.
Larry, lock him up Appleton.
They're going to do hard time.
They cut to Balky, and Balky's just giving him this look like, what? Really?
And so Larry's just like bragging and feeling all macho, and Balky picks up this giant book and like slams it on the ground to make a loud noise. And Larry just goes, hit the deck! And he falls to the ground.
He dives under the table, and Balky joins him.
And then Balky joins him, and he goes, you can come out now, cousin. The book wasn't loaded.
Ah, and he laughs
and then
to
he
himself.
laughs and roll credits.
Fun time in the two-parter. Listener, before we give you our thoughts and the listeners' thoughts, check out our TeePublic shop where you can buy some merch, some swag at danceofjoypod.com/shop will get you there. Get yourself a mug or a hoodie or a t-shirt or a tank top or a tote bag
or a tote
or a pillow, all with the
tote.
Dance of Joy logo. Send us a picture. We'd love to see it. Thanks for the support and for advertising our show with a niche thing you can talk about. When someone's like, hey, what is that?
Yep.
You can tell them. It's the best way.
It's farmers market season. Wear your Dance of Joy tank tops.
Yes, while you're buying rutabaga and
put the rutabaga in your Dance of Joy tote bag.
Oh, yes. The tote bag would be great at a farmer's market.
Yep.
You buy sunflowers and loose leaf tea and cheeses and pastries. Oh, I want to go to one now. Go buy Bibi Bobkas. You know, Balky should have went to the farmer's market with his Bibi Bobkas.
Yeah.
He would have made a huge...
They didn't have farmer's markets in 1990.
No, but he was on the verge of a great business, and Larry destroyed it. Anyways, they could have gone back and did. What'd you think of this two-parter, how it ended up? Which one was your favorite also?
Of the two?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a little made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
There were a lot of holes, but a lot of suspension of disbelief to get through the storyline.
Highlight for me in this one, roof getting sheared off, fantastic. Dance of Joy being done, love it.
Herb and Sheila recurring at strategic. Highlight for me was why were Jennifer and Marianne just like in the street,
in the middle of the street,
in a random street in LA.
I like this episode. I think I like the first one better, though.
I think I like the first one better too.
It was just like, I don't know. It was fun setup and the whole, but the two together.
And then the Darla Wayne name thing is just so weird, and I can't figure out if it's on purpose or not.
It's got to be on purpose. I think you're just messing with people, making a running gag.
By the end, it was just confusing. You're like, what's going on?
But another harrowing trip with them almost dying, and some fun stuff.
And what happened to the commissioner? He got in trouble too?
Oh, they all got in trouble. Okay. And then Chronicle gets a big story.
I mean, it was okay. It was okay. Balky's idea saved them. Larry's plans never saved them. Well, it's Balky who saves them every time anyway, despite Larry's plans. But this time his plan was his proactive plan.
But then we see a lot of inconsistency where Balky doesn't know things that we know he knows. It still bugs me. They didn't know how to work a video camera, and he didn't know what a tattoo was.
Brother, you're gonna get used to that in these next few seasons.
maybe there was some kind of mold in the apartment that caused short-term memory loss. I mean, you can explain it that way. That's like a Lost thing. There were spores.
Yes,
there were spores in Lost that made you forget things and act weird. I don't know. If this was Lost, I wouldn't question any of this because they're just making it up. It's not going to pay off.
Yeah. Okay, what did our listeners think?
Well, as previously mentioned, cousin Nicole Stoner, who made that wonderful spreadsheet, thank you. She says, maybe I'm thinking too outside the box here, but both of these episodes had November air dates. I'm wondering if our not TV movie intentionally aired for the November sweeps. That is possible. It's very early when they did that. And then she goes, Balky, you know what a tattoo is. You had that fake one in that old Gang of Mine. Yeah. Yes, you are correct.
Are there still November sweeps?
There isn't even like a TV season anymore. Yeah, everything's different.
Are all muddled and streaming.
I don't think Sweeps Week is as big of a thing, especially this year with the writer's strike. Everything's going to get pushed back. The streaming industry has broken all that up. There's barely like a pilot season, new episodes.
Why the writers are striking.
Yeah. So I don't think anything in November matters anymore. The Sweeps is like all the time. You have to impress right away.
Right.
Matt Crass's comment refers to
Matt Crass. This is
it's a new guy.
New cousin.
The thing I posted for this week's episode was a shot of the mugger mugging them.
Right.
So it's that picture. Keep that picture in your mind as I read Matt Crass's comment, which is actually kind of hilarious. He says, I'm glad he found work after his role as John Belushi's stunt double came to an end. That dude looked just like John Belushi.
Yeah, that's fun. Thank you, Matt Cresson. Welcome to the group.
Which is really funny. Yeah, he looked just like a Belushi stunt double from far away if you squint.
We have listener cousin Pam Hitchcock, who writes, I didn't look at this as a movie, just two tied together episodes. That may have tempered my opinion, but it's not the perfect strangers that I know and love. Okay, fair?
Mm-hmm.
She says, wasn't going to comment more on this two-parter, but I don't know why Larry was running all over town to find a video store to view the video when the camcorder button was damaged. Why didn't he trust Balky to record it correctly when in the past Balky recorded a complete video for his mama quite well?
Yep.
Also, why didn't the people looking closely in the surrounding area realize the knife was already in the agent's back and Larry was merely pulling it out?
Nobody's noticing that.
And why am I writing about logic? I don't watch Perfect Strangers for logic.
Yes, but we all go there. It's okay.
Yeah,
it happens.
Fine. We had all the same questions.
We did. Cousin Whitney Smith says, how did Balky and Larry know that Jennifer and Marianne were where they were going to be? And
they were just in the street.
And when they picked them up on the side of the street, they certainly didn't have any cell phones to call them to meet them. Or I'm sure they didn't have a beeper. She says, although this is one of my favorite two-parters, I had a few issues with the second part, like them going to the tattoo parlor to view the tape.
Yeah.
Why is there a VCR at the tattoo parlor in the first place? There was no VCR. There's just the TV. But he needed the cables, too. He didn't really have the cables.
No, he did grab all the wires and stuff.
No, but when
oh, yeah.
No, that was later. After the mugger got it, those wires were gone.
Yeah.
Okay, that call. But she goes, they were, video stores were still around at this time. Maybe they could have went there or something. She says, did Balky leave part of his brain in Chicago or develop temporary amnesia? Not to sound cuckoo. Oh, I think she's talking about the tattoo. She says, not to sound cuckoo, but I love seeing our cousins in peril. They look so adorable when they are helpless. That's why Dog Day Mid-Afternoon is one of my favorite episodes. That lady, Amy Hill, that was the tattoo artist, has played in a lot of stuff, but I mostly remember her from the movie Next Friday as the neighbor, Mrs. H. Kim. Oh, she was in Next Friday. Nicole Stoner and I mentioned, she's talking about Twitter. There was a little Twitter feed, Twitter discussion. Mentioned that they didn't do their typical Disney World two-part episode like other Miller Boyett shows did, like Family Matters, Step by Step, or Full House.
Disney World.
They all did Disney episodes.
Well, there's no children. They would have no reason to go to Disney World. Yeah.
She said we had mentioned maybe Mickey Mouse went missing or a Disney princess got kidnapped or something valuable went missing from Disney World. Larry got an assignment to cover, figure out what happened. And Buggy's super excited because he gets to finally go to Disney World.
Yeah.
And of course, Larry feels humiliated.
That would be a good story. We could write that episode.
Again, ABC, Disney, they own all, but they didn't own them back then? I don't know.
You know what this comment makes me think of? Like, looking back, what was the reason for them to have a tattoo parlor in the show at all? Like, why did they choose tattoo parlor? Just for those, like, tattoo jokes?
Yeah.
The tattoo jokes weren't that strong.
It's kind of random. They're like, okay, we need them to find a TV. What if it's in a tattoo parlor?
Yeah, but why?
Okay, why
so now I'm thinking, what did the tattoo parlor add to this episode or to the story? And I think it was just the tattoo jokes, but
then they make Balky go, what's a tattoo?
Yeah, but the tattoo jokes weren't even that strong.
No, there's a couple of tattoo gags.
And we have this opportunity for Amy Hill to be in it, but still, other than that, it wasn't a very strong reason for why it had to be a tattoo parlor.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's very random. I mean, they're in Los Angeles.
The juxtaposition of like danger from the thugs that are chasing them, and then like a seedy, unsafe place
the
with
tattoo
these like
parlor has like bad people, but they're really
in tattoos.
They're really nice guys. And,
I don't know. What was the utility of that? Who knows? All right, and then we have listener cousin John Adama, who always gives us a nice little wrap up. John Adama writes, "Man, this makes me miss the classic TV movies when the cast would suddenly be on location, abandon most of the supporting cast and humor, and have new camera angles and a score." I'm getting a real Saved by the Bell, the Las Vegas wedding vibe
Saved
here.
by the Bell did that all the time. They would go and have these crazy application shots. But then I always think of like the Brady Bunch and the Hawaii episodes.
Yeah, or the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon episodes where they just go to a random place just for an excuse to be somewhere. Absolutely.
The undercover agent's name, Richard Dick Tracy.
Yep.
John Adama points that out. We did discuss that last week. He writes, look, they paid Randy Newman the money and they're going to use the song as much as they want.
Oh, he's talking about last week's.
I love LA. They should have brought it back in the second episode, too.
Yeah, they didn't play it in the second one, but there's a big part of the first one.
No, we had
the 2001 theme. Yeah.
And he writes, as a TV movie, this is fine. Lively music, tons of locations, and interesting, if thin, story. As a Perfect Strangers episode, this isn't great. There's little humor, and I don't know why Marianne and Jennifer were included at all. That's what I said last time,
I was hoping that they were going to do something this episode.
Well, they went to the cops.
That's right. The cops could have just shown up, and they could have explained it. Oh, we were following him, and we just showed. I don't know.
To its credit, it's one of the few two-part episodes where I actually felt they were in danger.
I think because it felt more grounded, and like we said last week, they're in the real universe, not the TV universe.
Right.
There's guns.
Like there's no quicksand.
We've had guns before, though. They've been mugged before.
Yeah. In their house.
Yeah.
There's no quicksand in this one. Yeah.
Remember that?
That's right.
Yeah.
He says a decent budget and higher production values bring this up to a C+.
I also wonder how much money the show, because now, TV shows, the reason they don't get renewed into long seasons,
expensive.
Every season they cost more and more because the actors want more money. You want more budget, more effects, so you gotta kill it at 4 seasons so it doesn't get out of control.
Right.
But we are in season 6, and they probably thought, this is a hit flagship TGIF show. Let's put some money into this, and let's drive 10 minutes from here and shoot something
to go on location.
Yeah. Don't be ridiculous. Not said.
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous.
No Dimitri sheet. No apartment at all. Didn't even get a chance to be in.
We went to the Chronicle, but not the apartment.
Correct.
Okay, now let's talk about Perfect Strangers Today, or PS Today, which is, of course, the segment of this little podcast in which we discuss, can we remake this episode today? Would things still hold up, or is it? Or not.
Well, like we discussed last week, the whole thing hinges on a videotape.
Right. So basically, it's not gonna. Yeah.
Tape.
Oh yeah, we discussed this. Pretty low.
Which doesn't. So maybe it's about. We talked about it last week. Yeah. Maybe it's a memory card, an SD card. Maybe it's a hard drive. Maybe it's a USB stick. It could be someone's phone.
Yeah.
It could be on a USB drive that needs to be plugged in. There's still stuff you could do with that.
But they could post that on. They could post that live at any moment in the chase and clear their names.
Yes.
So that wouldn't hold up that they were being wanted for murder and people seeing
unless
them with the murder
they have
weapon.
No roaming on their phone and it doesn't
that
work.
Was the challenge.
And they have to, like I said, you find Wi-Fi and you have Balky going on asking people for their Wi-Fi.
There's no Wi-Fi in LA. Wi-Fi? Yeah.
Maybe there isn't. Maybe it's spotty. I don't know.
Maybe it's not free. Yeah.
Quick, I gotta use your Wi-Fi. So
except Balky calls it Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, of course.
Okay.
So low,
pretty low. You could do it, but you'd have to rewrite a lot of.
You could still do a fun car chase.
There's still mobsters.
There's still mobsters. I would absolutely
killing people.
Keep the roof getting sheared off. That still works.
But you'd have to write kind of a different story around the logistics of this.
I mean,
plot.
even the drug smuggling plot you could keep absolutely.
Rosebud.
You could keep Rosebud. You could keep the commissioner and an actress and a mobster. It's just the videotape needs to be updated. All right.
So a lot of those gags around the camera and the VCR.
And maybe no tattoo jokes. It's who's doing tattoo jokes?
Yeah, it's a different world with tattoos. You don't have this impression that it's all thugs and it's hipsters.
No,
it's everybody.
Your doctors and your barista.
Yeah,
and
everybody.
Yeah,
so
your nurse has them and.
What? Yeah. So if the only use of that tattoo parlor is they just keep ending up around dangerous people, then that's not going to stay in.
So little updates and
kind of low PS Today score.
Very low. That's it for this week's episode, Cousin. Join us next week. Something big happens, apparently.
Something big.
Listen, we know Larry is engaged to Jennifer, and what does that mean? He has to find an engagement ring. Didn't he give her a ring? No. When he proposed to her, the other guy had a ring.
That's right.
He didn't have a ring.
Yeah,
he just
he
blurted it out.
interrupted.
Yeah. But the other guy, I already forgot his name. What was his name?
Some college
Doug?
boyfriend.
Something. Had a ring. He didn't. And Larry needs to get an engagement ring. We'll see how that goes. Should be hilarious.
We'll see. Can't wait.
In the meantime, you can support the show with your dig does. Send over some digdas in our virtual tip jar. You can buy us a virtual coffee.
Virtual engagement ring. Get engaged to us.
You can virtually get engaged to us by buying us a virtual coffee. danceofjoy.com. There's a little buy us a coffee button there. We love all the support. Goes back into the show, making it to the end of season 8 and then some, maybe. We'll see. But we'd love for your support.
Whoop. This Pam Hitchcock note is from last time, right?
Yeah.
You can also support us by visiting our website, danceofjoypod.com, and checking out all the links and stuff we have there. We have links to everywhere you can find our podcast, to listen to it, to subscribe to it, to rate and review. All those links are right there on the website. There's also a button there where you can press and leave us a voice message direct to us. We love to hear your comments. Just say hi or tell us some thoughts on this 2-parter. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Why were Jennifer and Marianne in the street? If you have any ideas about that, just let us know. Leave us a voice message or email us at danceofjoypod@gmail.com, or find us on any of our social media accounts. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
Always remember, it's perfectly fine to drive under a semi-truck as long as you duck. The truck will not be injured and your roof will come clean off.
And the car will keep going and come out on the other side.
Yeah, no problem. No one will get hurt. You'll be fine. Just duck.
No,
the most important
don't do
thing,
that.
The most important thing if you're an action movie is to share the show with the guy selling you a VCR.
That's right.
On the street. Share it with your tattoo biker buddies.
Your mobster friends.
Share it with soap opera stars.
The video store clerk.
And the video store clerk. There's no video stores. Share it with your Netflix clerk. What is that? Share it with your barista that has tattoos.
Yes.
That's completely normal. We'd
not
appreciate
dangerous
it.
at all.
No.
Word of mouth goes a long way. Please talk about us. Okay, that's the end of our show for this week. Now we are so happy.
We do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.